Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Tuesday's edition of the DCEU Daily. Black Adam's Dwayne Johnson celebrates the Batman's opening weekend ahead of his DCEU debut, a debut I'm really excited about. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson celebrates the Batman's opening weekend success at the box office ahead of his turn as Black Adam later this year by Keegan Prosser of CBR.com. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson celebrated the release of Matt Reeves' The Batman ahead of his own turn as Black Adam in the DC Extended Universe later this year. Love seeing the Batman movie do this kind of spectacular box office business. Excellent uptick trend for our movie industry, our WBDC partners, and most importantly, a big happy audience. Johnson tweeted along with the link to an article reporting the Batman's opening weekend box office success. Congrats to the cast plus crew. I know how hard you've all worked. Johnson shared his excitement about the Batman's debut just hours before it was confirmed. Reeves' film exceeded early weekend box office reports by bringing in $134 million domestically in its opening weekend. Initial reports had suggested that Robert Pattinson-led superhero flick would open to $128.5 million at the domestic box office. The Entertainer's post also came nearly a month after Warner Brothers shared the first look at Aldis Hodges' Hawkman and Pierce Brosnan's Dr. Fate. They both look stunning, who will both make their DCEU debut opposite Johnson in Black Adam. The characters appeared in a recent video promo from DC called The World Needs Heroes, which also gave fans a sneak peek at a handful of other DC films, including The Flash, Aquaman, and The Lost Kingdom, and The Batman. Originally scheduled to hit theaters in December 2020, Black Adam officially began filming in April 2021, following delays caused by the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. While the Batman star Robert Pattinson remained coy about his workout regime he did during filming on that project, Johnson has been far more open about his transformation into Black Adam since filming began. Let's be honest, the guy is built like a shit brick house anyway, but he's really worked hard to look like Black Adam should look, and that's great. In addition to posting workout videos, Johnson said back in January that his goal was to appear even bigger than the Black Adam character in the comics. The training we did for this movie was the most arduous I've ever done in my life. The actor said at the time, I promise you this, the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change. Those comments built on similar posts the actor shared back in 2020, when he shared a photo of himself at the gym alongside the caption, shout to my longtime strength and conditioning coach, Dave Rinziel, for the ever-evolving strategic roadmap to success for this film and character, month by month, week by week, day by day, 277 pounds, oh my God, of mean and nasty. Directed by Matt Reeves, The Batman is in theaters now. Meanwhile, Black Adam is scheduled to premiere on July the 29th. I'm hugely excited, and it's good to have other DC creatives and actors supporting other DC movies, so that makes me very happy. The Batman director explains Batmobile chase scenes upside down shot. We did cover this yesterday on my live, but I don't think anyone was on my live, so we're just going to go over all the main articles and all the main headlines from the DC live action universe. That's what I'm here to do. The Batman director Matt Reeves explains the incredible upside down shot at the end of the much hyped Batmobile chase scene in the film by Sakil Ahmed of Screen Rant. The Batman director Matt Reeves explains the incredible upside down shot at the end of the much hyped Batmobile chase scene, which also involved the Penguin. The Batman story centers around the titular superhero in his second year of fighting crime as he sets out into Gotham City's underworld and uncovers corruption, simultaneously as he has to track down the Riddler, a sadistic killer who targets the rich and elite of Gotham and leaves behind a trail of cryptic clues in the process. I'll get back to you, 1 second. Yes, sorry about that. Twilight attendant star Robert Pattinson dons the cape and cowl as Bruce Wayne Batman in the character's latest live-action iteration after taking over the role from Ben Affleck following the latter's appearances in the DCE Extended Universe. Can I just say this again? Why does this publication have this obsession over Pattinson taking over from Affleck when that's not the case? I know this film was meant to be Ben Affleck's film, but Ben Affleck, for now, is still Batman. Following the latter's appearances in the DC Extended Universe, Pattinson is joined by a star-studded supporting cast, including the likes of Paul Dano as the Riddler, Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle Catwoman, Andy Serkis as Alfred Pennyworth, Jeffrey Wright as James Gordon, and Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot the Penguin. The Batman made its theatrical debut on March the 4th and opened to critical acclaim, holding a fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes with a score of 85%. Now, in the latest episode of Cinema Blend's Real Blend podcast, Reeves sat down to discuss the thrilling chase sequence in The Batman involving the Batmobile. As Batman is in pursuit of the Penguin, Reeves described the final upside-down shot in the sequence as a Hitchcockian inspiration, where he wanted the viewer to experience the Penguin's point of view as he lay upside down inside the car, which also helped the director in creating Batman's mythic appearance with a raging fire in the background. Check out his full quote below. And so we found all those shots, and then one of them, the one in particular with the upside down, I was like, well, I'm into this very Hitchcockian point of view, putting the camera in the subjective point of view of the character so you can put the audience into that experience. So I thought it would be great if in the end all of this propulsive French Connection sort of craziness to suddenly be in the Penguin's point of view as he's lying upside down, as you have this sort of mythic appearance of Batman with fire raging behind him. The scene in question takes place about halfway through the film when Batman and Gordon track down the informant who gave the GCPD information that led to a drug bust ending mobster Sal Maroni's operation. When the duo's investigation leads them to the Penguin, they find him in the middle of a drug deal and get caught up in a shootout. However, as Cobblepot attempts to make a break for it, Batman brings out the Batmobile to hunt him down in an exhilarating car chase under the night sky through the crowded streets of Gotham. It ends with the notorious gangster's car being toppled over multiple times before the Caped Crusader slowly approaches his vehicle with undeniably great panache. It would be safe to say that the above-mentioned Batmobile sequence, which has been heavily advertised in the trailers and promotional material in the build-up to the film's release, has blown away audience expectations as it's one of the most talked-about scenes and arguably one of the standout set pieces in the film. The final moments of the scene, which captured a striking silhouette of the Dark Knight in all his glory, are sure to become an iconic and wallpaper-worthy shot. A lot of the credit has to go down to Reeves and the cinematographer, Greg Fraser's June Rogue One slick camera work in bringing the eye-catching, picturesque shot to life. Fans can finally witness the Batman and its stunning imagery now that the film has hit the big screens. So, why did Matt Reeves want to give that kind of point of view of Penguin being upside down? And seeing Batman walking towards it, you could see his legs, but you could see the upside down view, so you're looking at Penguin's view. This is to put us in that position, the audience, as Matt says. He wants us to feel the fear that Oz is fearing at the time. What's going to happen when he comes to me? What's he going to do to me? He's come out of the flames through his Batmobile. I'm upside down. I thought I got him. I thought he died in the flames. Now he's coming to get me. This is a great, robust sequence, and you really feel it. And this sums up what Matt Reeves has done with this movie. The Batman director wants to bring villain Hush to his new DC world. The Batman co-writer-director Matt Reeves says he wants to adapt Hush soon for his franchise, though downplays his arrival in the first sequel by Grant Hermans of Screen Rant. The Batman co-writer-director Matt Reeves says he wants to adapt Hush soon for his franchise, though downplays his arrival in the first sequel. Reeves has relaunched the Dark Knight film franchise with Robert Pattinson leading the cast as Bruce Wayne in his second year of fighting crime in Gotham City. As he uncovers a web of corruption with ties to his family's past, Wayne further finds his investigation complicated by the arrival of serial killer the Riddler, who is targeting Gotham's elite and taunting Batman with cryptic clues for his motivations. Alongside Pattinson, the cast for the Batman includes Zoe Kravitz as Selina Kyle, Catwoman Paul Dano as the Riddler, Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon, John Turturro as Carmine Falcone, Andy Serkis as Alfred Pennyworth, and Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot. Intended as the start for a new shared universe, the film laid the groundwork for a number of major developments to come for Gotham and its ensemble roster, including Cobblepot's transformation to the Penguin and his own spin-off series at HBO Max, and multiple villain teases for the future. With the Batman already scoring rave reviews and strong box office numbers, those behind the film are already looking to the future. In honor of the film's release, Matt Reeves teamed with Twitter Movies for a special Q&A for the Batman. When asked what villain he wants to incorporate next to his universe, the director revealed he wants to adapt Hush soon, though notes it may not be for the first sequel in the series. See what Reeves said below. I think Hush is a really interesting one to do. I'll choose Hush. That doesn't mean that the next movie villain will be Hush. I just want to say there are so many. Created by Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee. And by the way, Jeff Loeb was Matt Reeves' screenwriting teacher. Now, this man is a comic book legend. And the irony is not lost on me that a writer-director that actually is ingrained in these comics and has really adapted the source material, elements of it anyway, was taught by one of the best comic book writers of all time. Hush first appeared in the DC Comics in Batman number 609 as Dr. Thomas Elliot, a childhood friend of Bruce Wayne, who killed his parents out of desire for wealth and independence, and later teams with the Riddler to kill Wayne upon learning of his secret identity. Hush has been adapted for the screen on a number of occasions, including Batman prequel series Gotham and Arrow vs. Batwoman, while Batman voice actor Kevin Conroy also voiced the villain in the Batman Arkham video games. The Batman Hush story arc was itself adapted into the 2019 animated movie of the same name. They was changed to be the Riddler, having taken on the Hush persona after going insane from using the Lazarus Pit to heal his brain tumor. While Reeves has downplayed his potential to appear in the first sequel, the Batman did feature a couple of teases towards Hush's arrival in the universe, namely with the death of investigative journalist Edmund Elliot. One of the Riddler's broadcasts showing a photo of Elliot with the word Hush written over it, with the cast of the film also teasing the potential arrival of the Court of Owls for future films, and fan favourite villain being teased in the first movie's ending. The possibility is there for Reeves to save Hush for later down the road. In the meantime, audiences can catch up with the Batman in theatres now. I think one thing is becoming extremely clear to me, that Matt Reeves did tease that there would be multiple spin-offs on HBO Max. I believe most of these villains will have their own HBO Max shows. This gives a great place for their origin story and to develop their characters, then enter them automatically into sequels down the line. So I would expect to see Hush at some point. I don't know when though, but it's great that he's openly said he wants to adapt Hush into his live action universe. This GCPD situation has been a minefield since Matt said it's evolved into an Arkham series, because we wasn't sure. First we thought there was going to be a third spin-off about Arkham as well as GCPD. Then he said GCPD would, represent Arkham. It felt that GCPD was still happening, but Arkham would be involved. Well, now, thankfully, we finally have some clarification on what's going on. The Batman GCPD Arkham spin-off show on hold, confirms director. Right, it's not on hold, right? They've got this wrong. This is a bad header, but I'll explain it to you. By Andy, whose surname I can't pronounce, of Screen Rant. The Batman director Matt Reeves confirms that the GCPD Arkham spin-off series officially been put on hold at HBO Max, The Dark Knight has returned to the big screen in his latest reimagining, this time from Reeves as the filmmaker. The new franchise starring Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, focuses on a younger Caped Crusader taking place outside the DCEU. While the Batman isn't a full-on origin story, the reboot did instead take place during Bruce's second year as a crime fighter. Despite him not being completely new as a crime fighter, Bruce has a long way to go before becoming the character fans know and love from the DC universe. Unlike past Batman franchises, Reeves' new universe will be doing something unique that previous film iterations couldn't until recently. With HBO Max, Reeves is expanding his franchise into the small screen with a number of upcoming spin-off shows set in the same world. One of them will be Colin Farrell's The Penguin, with the Irish actor reprising the role of Oswald Cobblepot in his own DC drama. There have been discussions about a potential Catwoman project starring Zoe Kravitz, which may get some movement following the Batman's early success. Don't expect to hear things being greenlit until the Warner Discovery merger is totally ratified and official. Nothing's going to be greenlit right now. That's why pretty much we've only got 2 movies in cinemas next year, and there's a bit of a ghost town out there for the 2023 slate, because Zaslav's going to come in and he's going to look through everything with a fine tooth comb, and if he doesn't like it, it doesn't get greenlit. It's as simple as that. However, it appears the GCPD series, which was the first announced spin-off, has run into a stop. During a recent appearance on Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, Reeves gave some new details on the GCPD drama, which would have also had a huge Arkham Asylum element to it. Now, this journalist has got confused here because Reeves tried to make it sound that way, but it looks like Matt didn't explain himself properly. GCPD and Arkham, 2 different things. Anyway, confirmed to the host that the HBO Max product had been put on hold, while HBO Max and Warner Brothers TV has yet to comment. Reeves described more what the series would have focused on, sharing the following. And this is interesting. So maybe they're right and I'm wrong. Let's have a look. One thing that we are going to do, that I was going to do, so there's the Gotham Police show. That one has actually been put on hold. We're not really doing that. Right, Gotham PD is not happening. And that's straight from the horse's mouth. The series was going to be a kind of like Prince of the City, where it was going to be year 1 because the movie is year 2, and I wanted it to be the first appearance of Batman. But it wasn't going to be a Batman story. It was going to be about this corrupt cop, and it was going to be about how the worst gang in Gotham were the worst gang in Gotham were the GCPD. So you can see already that this had commentary about defunding the police and real life commentary about the police. One of the reasons it's been put on hold. Anyway, he goes on. He was going to have crossed paths with Gordon, who would have been someone to measure him against, but it would be a battle for his soul. I love this idea. So it's interesting because he says it's not happening. He's told us Gotham PD is not happening, but what he didn't do is tell us why. And after this article, I'm going to tell you why. Even though Reeves says that they are not really doing that, it could be that the GCPD series will be revamped into something else. Yes, it's been revamped into an Arkham series, right? Will be revamped into something else as opposed to this being a full-on cancellation. There were some fans that had criticism early on about Warner Brothers doing another Gotham PD-related show, only a few years after Fox's Gotham wrapped up. Exactly. This has been my point. With Reeves' latest comments, it's clear as the day that this would have been something completely different. It's still interesting who the mysterious corrupt cop would have been, especially if it was based on someone from the DC universe. Maybe it was Jim Gordon being tempted to be a corrupt cop and fighting for his soul, and that's how he eventually teams up with Batman. That's probably it. While GCPD getting put on hold may be a disappointment to some, it's like the Batman universe won't explore them in some capacity in upcoming sequels. As long as Gordon's still around in future installments, Reeves will still have ways to go deeper into the corrupted police force. As the Penguin goes forward, Reeves still have multiple corners of his own new universe that could become a spin-off series down the line, perhaps. With GCPD shelved, Kravitz's Catwoman's pick up some stem and get put into development. Only time will tell if GCPD will ever get resurrected, but it sounds like it's on the back burner for a while. Gotham PD is not happening. And I hate to tell Andy, whose surname I can't pronounce, Gotham PD will never happen. And let me explain to you why. This is the beginning of the influence of Warner Discovery and its new CEO, David Zaslav. He's in there now. The government have given permission for this merger to be ratified, so he's allowed to be there now and make decisions. He's gone into Warner Brothers Pictures. He's going into HBO Max. And his first port of call is the DC live action universe because it's the most profitable. So he's gone in there and he's looked at this, and I'm going to make some assumptions here and say, look, no, I'm sorry, Matt, we can't do this. You know, this is clearly commentary about defund the police and George Floyd, and we don't want to go there, right? This is not a company that's going to do this. They're not interested. They want to be successful. They want to give the consumer what they want to see. They want to entertain the consumer. They don't want to go down the line that entertainment has gone down. So basically, Zaslav and Discovery have said, no, Matt, you're going to have to think of something else. Now, before he started the Batman, Matt was in a position to say, I'm doing A, B, and C. If you don't like it, tough. The Batman's come out, is successful. He's going to have to take, you know, his medicine. And he has here. So this is why now this article isn't very good because it keeps on saying the Gotham PD Arkham show. There was never a Gotham PD Arkham show. There was just a Gotham PD show. Now it's evolved into an Arkham show. So now there's going to be an Arkham show and a Penguin show. Now, the Arkham show hasn't been officially announced, but the Arkham show sounds like a haunted kind of house, like American Horror Story thing. We'll get into that because I'm going to read out that article as well. So I hope that kind of explains things a little bit. Basically, Gotham PD isn't happening. The Batman 2 could feature Robin, says Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves says the Batman 2 could feature Robin, though will only explore the character if he can develop emotional stakes for his story, by Grant Hermans of Screen Rant. Matt Reeves says the Batman 2 could feature Robin, though will only explore the character if he can develop emotional stakes for his story. Now, the planning of the Apes reboot director is ushering in a new cinematic universe surrounding the DC Comics vigilante. After taking the reins from the DC Extended Universe's Ben Affleck, the new franchise begins with the Batman, which picks up with Bruce Wayne in his second year of fighting crime in Gotham, as he contends with serial killer, the Riddler, and a deep web of corruption. Reeves had begun plans for a larger universe prior to the Batman's release, including a trilogy and 2 spin-off TV shows for HBO Max. A lot more is coming. One centred on Colin Farrell's The Penguin and one centred on the Gotham City Police Department. The latter project has since been put on hold and evolved into a spin-off series exploring his universe's take on Arkham Asylum. So that's what's happening, and that's what I explained to you. The previous article was terrible, wasn't it? While Reeves seems to have plenty of ideas for the future for the Batman, there's one character he's unsure about cracking. While appearing on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast for the film's release, Matt Reeves opened up about the future of his Batman franchise. When asked whether the Cape Crusader's sidekick would appear at some point, Reeves said the Batman 2 could feature Robin if the co-writer-director can figure a story for the character with proper emotional stakes. See what Reeves shared below. Maybe we'll just say maybe. I don't know. Here's the thing. I have a lot of ideas about what I want to do. I'm not sure what the next story is. For me, whatever the story is going to be, is going to take these characters, and specifically Batman's character, and put them in some kind of emotional jeopardy. So when you talk about what you're talking about, there may be really interesting story. There'd have to be emotional stakes to get drawn into that character's story. I don't want that character to become a cipher. I don't want to be like, okay, so his story wasn't an origin tale, but you know what, that was kind of Batman's origins, and now he's just perfect. No, you need to test the character again and again and again. And for me, yeah, there might be something in there. I don't know. There's a deep dive that already happened at the beginning, and now I'm going to have to deep dive again if we have the chance to make another one. So we shall see. I love how this guy thinks, and he talks. He wants the drama there. He wants to test Batman to his limits, and that's what you should have. Some people said to me, oh, it's a shame that Selina doesn't know who he is. No, it's not a shame. It's too soon. This is just the beginning. It's an evolving franchise. After appearing in a couple of serials in the 40s, Robin would make his proper big screen debut with Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever, in which Chris O'Donnell portrayed the Dick Grayson incarnation of the character as he's taken in by Bruce Wayne following the death of his circus performer parents. At the hands of Two-Face, O'Donnell would carry the role through the George Clooney-led sequel Batman and Robin, and was set to lead a spin-off film, I didn't know that was cancelled due to the poor reception of the full film. The years since have only seen homages of references to Robin, with the character having been killed by the Joker and Harley Quinn in the DC Extended Universe, as revealed in Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice and Suicide Squad, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt's John Blake revealing his legal first name to be Robin at the end of The Dark Knight Rises. As Reeves explains in the interview, while the Batman 2 could feature Robin, he would need a proper story angle with emotional stakes to properly fit into his new DC universe. Given the co-writer-director elected so slightly skip past Wayne's origin story and takes an appropriately bleak approach to exploring Batman's detective skills, introducing Robin to Reeves franchise may be better saved for a later sequel or spin-off, doesn't make sense, series than immediately bringing him in for the Batman 2. While audiences wait for more details on the next film, they can catch up with the Batman now in theatres. Right. For me, Matt Reeves is saying maybe. He's not saying no for the sequel for Robin. Robin will may even get another HBO Max spin-off, because we've been told by Matt there's multiple plans going ahead at Warner Brothers. Of course, as I've already said, Zaslav and Discovery coming kind of confuses the issue, because people at Warner Brothers Pictures could all be removed, could all be fired, and then the CEO, Zaslav, will look at all these things again. So it's a very complicated time at Warner Brothers right now, and that's why the Batman sequel hasn't been greenlit and ratified yet. Wonder Woman 3 was greenlit as soon as Wonder Woman 84 was released, and that's shocking considering what kind of a film Wonder Woman 84 is. So if we were under normal circumstances, the Batman sequel and multiple spin-offs over on HBO Max would already be greenlit, but it's complicated. So I'm saying that Robin will be introduced either in an HBO Max spin-off or in the sequel. We will see him eventually, who he is. If we've seen him in the Batman film, I don't know, but he's coming. That's what it sounds like to me. And this article saying we should wait a few more sequels. Nah, let's not. Let's introduce him. Matt sounds like he's interested in having a Robin in his universe. So Matt Reeves gives some more details on this Arkham show. The GCPD thing, that story has kind of evolved. We already know that show's not happening now. We've actually now moved more into the realm of exactly what would happen in the world of Arkham as it relates coming off of our movie. And some of the characters almost leaning into the idea of it's like a horror movie or a haunted house. That is Arkham. The idea, again, the way that Gotham is a character in the movie. I really want Arkham to exist as a character. You go into this environment and encounter these characters in a way that feels really fresh. So in our work on Gotham, that story started to evolve, and it started to feeling like, wait, we should really lean into this. And then that's the kind of where that's gone. So that's very, very interesting, isn't it? So what kind of show could Arkham be? It could be an American Horror Story type of show, as I referenced earlier, where we go back to the past of the House Arkham rather than it being an asylum. And it could be haunted, as I say, or even more exciting, we could delve into Arkham in Year 2, and maybe it's haunted then, and maybe it's haunting the inmates, and this drives them more crazy. That would be a very, very interesting idea for me, but the idea of doing an Arkham series is a very, very good idea. And I think this leads further to maybe Batman 2 being Batman Arkham, as I keep on saying. Barry Coogan has spoken about his role in The Batman and talking and working with Matt Reeves. He's a brilliant man, and Matt Reeves and Dylan Clark especially, and together were amazing to me, really, really amazing to me. And you know, getting to be part of the Batman universe is a huge deal for me. I'm a fanboy of these movies, and especially the Batman universe. So to be in that world, I'm still pinching myself. He's a filmmaker I hugely admire as well. And to get to walk alongside him and see how he works, and seeing much like Chloe Zhao, how comfortable he makes you on set, and he gives you the time you need and what you want. I'm in such a blessed position. I'm a huge, huge fan of Paul. He's such a good dude as well. I watched all of his movies. He's talking about Paul Dano, like Prisoners and stuff like that. People say that we're kind of alike as well. And I'm like, are we? So that's very humble from Barry Coogan. So who is Matt Reeves' Joker? So he's a fanboy. He's excited to be doing this. Matt made him feel really comfortable before doing the scene. And any potential directors out there, instead of putting pressure on your actors, you do need to make them feel comfortable. You'll get a better performance from them. So it's just really, really exciting to see Barry finally speak, and everyone speak about this mysterious role he was doing. And it'll be very interesting going forward what kind of Joker he will be. We are in the enviable position here at DC now of having a universe launched. Matt Reeves is a talker. Matt Reeves knows how to inform his public. Matt Reeves has become a pop star. He's a man we need to keep at DC Live Action for a very long time, and I hope that we do. This has been the DCEU Daily and Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And I'll see you again in the next video. Until then, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. See you again soon.